capsule is gonna be folded over itself, except that folding over itself is gonna now take up space. And now we're just gonna take that humeral head and roll it over on top of this, and that's gonna create a pinching pain.
So that's why it's posterior.
Yes. And you could pinch different stuff in there. Anthony looked like it was more of the infraspinatus aspect of the tendon, maybe a little capsule, it's allowed to roll. With EJ, it looks mainly capsular in nature. Doesn't look, he has poor muscle stability, but it's the capsule that's giving him his pain, his pain there.
Can that be positional fault?
Thank you. It is a positional fault, but he also has posterior capsule shortness, because remember, we did the capsule restriction and that was short. So, is he in a positional fault? Yes, he is. Now, can he fix it? Well, if these are not stable by poor motor control or they're weak, and he has this passive structure pushing him forward, that's not in his favor now. So did he hurt himself, or did something set him up to hurting himself? Good. So we felt like he had some movement, so that was the positional fault. When we did just normal, here. But then his problem, I'm worried about his posterior capsule. So I'm gonna wind that up a bit. And that's when he does not move anymore. So he would definitely need a posterior capsule stretch / mobilizations in this range. So my manual therapy technique would be this: end range internal rotation, posterior capsule. He's not in pain, so it would be a grade 3, grade 4. So that would be my manual technique. In terms of breakouts and stuff, so me testing muscle length, it's really capsular length that I'm worried about here. So that would be one range of motion. And then check capsule, I did check, it is firm. So I'm looking more, he has a positional fall. He also has capsular restrictions. Push down. So that would be that. Then, so range of motion capsule / positional fault. Capsule would be more long-term, positional fault, maybe I can correct a little bit of it, but certainly I'm not expecting like an immediate improvement, an immediate full improvement. In terms of exercise prescription for home, I would show him a posterior capsule stretch. And then in terms of continuing the exam, it would be looking at strength of the rotators, and it would be, you could do a motor control breakout of the exam.
Well, you did the actual stuff too.
Actually, yes, gap was for flexion, right? What was for?
There's GH.
You're doing that motor Q again throughout range.
Throughout range, yeah.
Association.
So you are gonna come lay on your stomach. Doesn't matter where your head is, I can move. Okay, go all the way up. Hello, long time no see.
We'll bring the stuff back.
That's fine. It's all right. I didn't see nothing. We're good. So you would put a towel under here and whatnot. So what first my MMT. So what I want you to do, there's my towel. Let's bring your hand up. Perfect. And hold it there. Not too bad. Good. You're in a nice spot too. So now what I want you to do is bring your arm back down. So what I want you to do is just pull this into the socket again like you did before. Good, relax. Relax. Relax, good. Do it again. And relax. And again. Perfect. And then can you go all the way up? Okay, any pain?
No.
Can you hold it there? Any pain?
No.
Good. Strong leg. Move. So that would basically be his thing. So he doesn't have atrophy in his case because he's able to localize it. So he's able to suction cup the humeral head back to decrease his divot, and he's able to maintain it through range.
We do the MFT in mid-range too.
You could do mid-range, but really I care about inner range because I already Yeah, technically the resistance test wasn't against gravity, but yeah, hold that there. Good.
So that's mid-range, right?
Yep, and then suction cup this in. Good, hold that there. Definitely stronger with just activating those deep muscles. Okay. So that's the 1 hour test for that. What else are we missing? Anything? My focus or clinical priority today would be getting him to activate those muscles in functional positions. So his exercise prescription would be to focus on the deep rotators through range, making sure he doesn't go to fatigue. And so you could do your 10 by 10 by 2, not go into fatigue. Yeah.
Just thinking of
And it would be functional positions. So this would be very appropriate place to start. I could take this and go into this position too, and then we would progress it towards like bear bands or perturbations or body blade, stuff like that.
holding that position.
Holding that position of pain. Then it would be through range to be able, can you control it back here? Great. Now we're gonna work on throw. So that's your your starting point, your progression, and then your sport specific.
Are we giving, I know we have to be able to progress it, but are we giving progressions all the way till?
No,
or
just
till one progression?
No, I'm just, you guys are here.
Yeah. Okay,
So
no.
we're taking up your time. Figured I'd give you a little
Can't
something,
wait.
something. Okay. Flip onto your back.
Now, when it comes to positional fault, figuring out whether it's capsular or muscular, you want to, so like his positional fault helped with external rotation, so you put him in internal rotation because that wound up the posterior capsule.
Yes.
So usually with the positional fault, put him in the opposite direction, or is that just for rotation? Like if flexion and positional fault help for flexion, oh, you would just want to put him in a position that would wind up the posterior capsule again, right?
Well, yeah, because flexion is elevation could either be inferior or it could be posterior. So you can go either direction with that one.
Okay.
But when you're up here, you don't push them posteriorly, which is why it's typically inferior at that point.
Right.
But still, yeah, you can test them in neutral, and I feel that he has a little restriction, but he has some buoyancy there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So that at least confirms positional fault. I could put him in the right spot, which means he was in the wrong spot. So that's capsular. I mean, not capsular. That's positional fault. So now, why do I still get that capsular feel, even though it's not extreme? Well, if I'm worried about it, now we're going to wind up that capsule. It's going to be more restricted. And so that's how I confirm that it could be a little bit of both.
Okay.
Whereas, let's say he didn't have any stiffness issues. We ignored all the stuff that we found throughout the whole exam. You know, we could just push this back, and it's back. All right, well, it's staying there. Why isn't it not bouncing back? Where that's different. Now it's there, I let go, bounces back. There, I let go, bounces back.
Some pushing through.
Yeah. Positional fault, you, other than reducing it yourself, you could pick up slack in the capsule with just a distraction, and it could either feel loose or stiff. And then if it's true positional fault, and you just, if I give it to, so he was limited, right? So he's limited to there. So if I give it distraction, he's still just there. So his capsule is restricted. If it was positional fault, capsule, yeah, feels loosey-goosey, great, and bloop, all the way down. So he does have a little bit of both, but it's his posterior capsule that's pushing him into that fault position.
And because he's able to, and because he has excessive external rotation, so you're not worried about a short muscle.
His internal rotators could be short as well, but it's his capsule that I'm most concerned about. I don't know if you can really differentiate the two because you can stretch them anyway the same way. So he's had this for a year. Are we going to fix it today? Not the stiffness issue, but he was able to control his deep rotators. So is that something he could work on right now? Yeah.
Which could then be a short-term goal.
Yeah.
progress himself to, or to be able to reach, let's say, 2 minutes of the motor control exercise?
Yep, so maybe he could do it for 30 seconds now, like I didn't do a formal assessment.
Mhm.
I know he could do it through range, but I didn't check the time frame.
Mhm.
So whatever the time frame is, that could be his homework.
Mhm.
And he knows what if he messes up, because he's gonna mess up and say, ow.
Oh.
Long term would be increasing internal rotation to
60 to 80 degrees, or get a
Functional.
combined external-internal ratio of 180 degrees. It's gonna be to improve his posture, to be able to control those muscles, to get that humeral head back in where it's positioned. So in terms of his PA education, PT is important because we're gonna stretch out the capsule. Luckily, you have good control over your muscles, so you're gonna do some of these things at home, basing off of these parameters. And then, capsule will take me probably 4 to 6 weeks to loosen up because it takes time. You're gonna combine that at home with that capsular stretch to help maintain what I do in the clinic. You're gonna work on that muscle activity, and you're gonna stop sitting with your arms back behind you, putting pressure through it, pushing this forward. So you're gonna mess up all my stuff. And then you should see improvements gradually throughout that time. This bubble back here that holds your shoulder in place is very restricted on you, so it's getting pinched when you bring your arm back to throw a ball. That's creating pain, so they call that a posterior impingement, and that bubble is called your capsule. And then you're basically moving too far forward, so you have excessive movement forward in the socket. And that's all coming from this joint, GH joint, driven by GH. Luckily, you can control it yourself, so you just have some motor control issues. Gotta just tell your your nervous system who's boss. Say it. You're my boss, nervous system.
Say it.
You actually always
Say it.
Yeah.
Say, I'm
You're
your
my.
boss.
What did you say?
You say, I'm your boss.
I'm the
Your boss,
captain.
nervous system.
There you go. So it's important to maintain these things to fit that prognosis, but otherwise, yeah, based off of your age and health, there's no reason doing these things should get you back. All those rotation exercises you were doing, there was nothing wrong with them, but you weren't activating the right muscles to put the bone in place to get the effect. But getting back to doing those would be great, but now you know how to suction cup this into the right spot and what to look out for. And we'll progress you towards getting back to your sport. Any questions for me? Okay. And I think that's the end of the test.
You're doing your intervention right now, the manual technique,
Yeah,
right?
he asked me for help. I figured I'd help him out.
Did you give him an exercise?
Yeah, he was doing those pro and external rotations, suction cupping it in for 2 minutes, making sure he doesn't fatigue.
So if I ask you for help, you're willing to help me?
I help you all the time.
Only counted one time.
Oh my gosh.
That was helpful, thank you.
You're welcome. The important part is you can't just watch me do it. You guys
Yes.
gotta practice
Yeah.
it. But hopefully it helps connect the dots. I'm a little tired. I didn't sleep well, so sorry about the monotone voice on the camera.
That's it. That's why I moved around. It's all good.
We're gonna auto-tune it, so it's gonna be.
Nice.
Oh.
Give me a British accent or something.
There you go.